Because thyme has antibacterial and antioxidant properties and has that in anti-inflammatory purpose as well, it is so beneficial for things like blemished and oily skin and aging skin. Take your jar that you've had in the fridge overnight, and what you're after is obviously the liquid out of here. And what you already get is the release of that wonderful oil from the herb. You could even give that as a gift if you wanted to as well. If you know somebody that really likes herbs or essential oils. Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about the herb thyme and its many uses. I love working with my herbs from my garden, or the ones I've grown on my windowsill. I use this as my me time to focus on doing something that I love that is totally different from what I do on a day-to-day basis. And this time really allows me to relax and enable me to replenish my energy, leading, I think, to a much more positive mind frame. And I'd like to share that experience with you today. So, a little bit about thyme first, before we move on to doing some demonstrations. Thyme is known for adding great taste to cooking, adding an aromatic flavour to things like soups, stews, stuffing, roasted vegetables, and dried thyme can also have a particularly strong flavour. It is part of the mint family with a pungent but slightly lemony flavour and scent to it. So as well as for cooking, which you may use it in yourself, thyme contains this active ingredient called thymol. And this has antiseptic and expectorant properties, so often used for medicinal purposes such as cough syrups. It can even be used as an antiseptic or antiseptic wash for minor cuts and grazes. And it's also used in homemade beauty products, and that's mostly what I want to focus on today. And because thyme has antibacterial and antioxidant properties and has that in anti-inflammatory purpose as well, it is so beneficial for things like blemished and oily skin and aging skin as well, and also for scalp care. And I'm going to touch on some of these during our demonstrations today. So I've brought in a few varieties from my garden, and because it's winter time, a lot of the herbs do look very similar. So a big tip that I would give you is always keep the label when you purchase these herbs, or if you're given them, I'm often given herbs, then do write a little label so that you can tell which one it is that you're picking up. when I first started working with herbs, I didn't do this, and I thought, oh no, I'll know what that is. And I know there are all sorts of apps that you can use which will tell you what it is, but it's just really quick and easy if you just either keep the label or pop a label on there. So this is my first one. So the first variety I've got is my green thyme, and this is known as Timo Faustini. And this is very much a compact evergreen shrub, and it has these dark green leaves, and in the summer it has these wonderful pale pink flowers, which makes it very pretty and recognisable. So due to its natural astringent and antiseptic qualities, it can help to really deep cleanse pores and help to control oil production. So it therefore makes a really good skin cleanser and toner. So I'm going to do a quick demo of this now. So let me just put the plant out of the way and get some of these demonstrations underway. So you have to do a little bit of preparation for this one. So find a sterilised jar and take some sprigs of thyme and place them in the jar. And then what you want to do is add to this a carrier oil, but your choice of carrier oil needs to be carefully thought through. So I've got a couple here, sweet almond and grapeseed. You could use coconut oil as well. And what you're looking for is the clearer, runnier oils, because this is a cleanser or toner that we're making here. So what you want to do is have something that's quite runny. So choosing something like olive oil or castor oil is not really suitable. It would be great. It would be great for a face mask, but not for something that we want to wipe off quite easily, such as a cleanser or toner. So you would literally put the sweet almond in so that it's adequately covering the sprigs. That's probably enough. And then I tend to leave mine in the fridge overnight so that the herb infuses nicely. And I happen to have one that I prepared earlier. I'm just going to use a paper towel just to avoid any spillages. So if you take your jar that you've had in the fridge overnight, and what you're after is obviously the liquid out of here. So if you just sieve that through. And then what I tend to do is use a little travel spray bottle. Some people prefer to use glass, which is fine, it's personal choice. I just find these easy to get hold of and to use. you've got there is some lovely infused thyme lotion, which can be used as a cleanser. So if you pop that on there, that is lovely. Can be used as a gentle cleanser. And because it's got astringent properties, it can be used as a toner as well. So, good use of that green thyme. I'm just going to clear this away so that we can move on to another variety of thyme. So, another variety of thyme that I want to share with you is this one, and this is my white lemon thyme, known as Thyme Silver Queen. And this is so pretty. It has small green leaves, but it has a little pattern along the outside of the leaf, which is slightly creamy, and it just makes it look so pretty. And if you brush your fingers on this, it has the most wonderful, strong lemon scent. And this works well in the garden, but also indoors as well. And when you brush past it, it leaves that lemon scent in the air. It's really, really quite pleasant. You can sometimes use this as a substitute for lemon in some recipes. So if you don't like that really, really strong taste of lemon, this gives it a mild sort of flavour, which is quite pleasant. I like to mix the leaves with some sea salt and some olive oil and a little bit of lemon juice, and this produces a natural body scrub. So I do want to do a quick demo so that you can actually see what this looks like. So do cut off a few sprigs of rosemary and take the leaves off. This is quite painstaking, this one, so you do have to take the leaves off. Because this is quite time consuming, in fact, let's cut off one of these sprigs and we'll demo from here. So they do come off a bit easier. Now, because this is quite time consuming, I have done some earlier, but I actually find it quite fun being fiddly. But if you're not into that, you can use a herb stripper as well to get the leaves off. But what I'm going to do now is, just because I want this a little bit finer, it's a bit too thick to use as a body scrub at the moment. So I'm going to chop it a little bit finer. So let's take some of those leaves that I took off earlier, and then you literally get whatever herb cutter or chopper you like to use. I like this one because it really gets in. And what you already get is the release of that wonderful oil from the herb. And you can imagine what the body scrub is going to smell like. Absolutely wonderful. And you just keep going with this magical tool that I like to use for my herbs to get them as fine as possible. If you don't want to do that, you can put it into a blender, but I just find the blender just chops it up too far. You may as well use dried by that point, because you do need a little bit of roughness still left for it to act as a body scrub. Obviously, if you're doing this with children, be very careful because these blades are extremely sharp. Okay, so what you want to do is take your slightly finer chopped herbs and put those into a bowl. And then you want to add a little bit of sea salt, which is going to make it a little bit coarser. A little bit of olive oil. I love doing this, just mixing up and seeing what works and what doesn't. Such fun. And then just a little bit of lemon juice as well, I think, which enhances that lemon smell. And you can play around with this and practice to get it at the level that you want in terms of its coarseness. You might want to add more salt if you want it slightly rougher. But I just love this. And the smell is amazing. It's just the waft of that lemon scent from this lemon thyme. And if you have rough skin on your hands, you can use any herb. It doesn't have to be thyme, but some of the others work really well. Rosemary is another one that works really well as a body scrub. So just take the excess off. This is why you need white towels around. And actually, just to finish that off, I'm going to use some of that cleanser that we made earlier, just to take any residue off. If it works. And that's your lemon thyme. What did I say this was? Thyme Silver Queen, white lemon thyme. That's a very pleasant one. Right, let me just put this away. So another variety I've got for you to look at is one that you might be very familiar with. This one is called Living Thyme, and it's generally the one that's available in the supermarket. It still has its roots intact and it's generally sold for immediate use, but you can keep it going a bit longer by putting it into a saucer and keeping it watered. So when you're watering it, don't water the actual plant. Put your water in the saucer, and the roots will take the water up from that. So if you don't have a garden, this is a great alternative. And you can use this to make either the body scrub that we've just done or the cleanser and toner that we made earlier. I would say this has got a much milder, subtler fragrance. So if actually the other varieties are too strong for you, this again might work much better for you. Okay, so just a few other ideas. Let me just get my next demo tray ready for you. So there are lots of things that I can't demo simply because of where we are. So one of the things I do want to share with you that this herb is really useful for is for steaming your face. So if you take a handful of fresh thyme and add it to boiling water, obviously be careful where you're doing this. Kitchen table near the kitchen sink is always a good idea. But the steam will open up pores and cleanse the skin as well due to the properties of the herb, and it's very, very useful. So thyme infused water can also be used as a final hair rinse to improve scalp health, and this is because it's got antifungal properties within it, so it's really helpful for an itchy skin. So you can use that as your final rinse. Just infuse the water with the thyme sprigs and then just use that as a final rinse when you shampoo and condition your after you've shampooed and conditioned your hair. So that can really help with an itchy scalp. Now, interesting this one, and apologies for this, it also makes a really refreshing cup of tea, and I have this broadleaf thyme, which is wonderful, and I've had tea from this and it is great, but something's had a little nibble at my broadleaf thyme and I don't have enough left to share a cup of tea with you, so apologies for that one. But you know, that's herbs and insects for you. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Now, do remember that when you're using thyme, particularly the essential oil in your beauty products, it's got to be diluted with a carrier oil or another medium. Sorry. Also, with thyme, it is worth doing a patch test, as the thymol it contains can cause irritation if you're prone to allergies or have sensitive skin. So one of the remaining suggestions that I'm going to make for you is not a beauty product, it's more of a craft product. But if you've got loads of sprigs left, so you've got loads of thyme left over, you can simply take an old jar, and I've just got some lavender left over from a previous craft idea, and I would suggest you try and dress this up. So put your leftover lavender in there and just make a bow so that you're dressing up the jar slightly. And then what you can do is take your leftover sprigs and put them into the jar. Just keep going, as many as you want to fit in. And I love making these sort of herbal bunches. And I find with thyme, I'm always inclined to mix it with a little bit of rosemary. Now, obviously, I'm doing this all in one go. You might want to just take your time and make that much more decorative than I have here, but the smell is amazing. So you've got some rosemary in there as well. And I actually think that would make quite a nice little gift. And you can dot these around the house and they give a wonderful aromatic herbal scent. And if you want to add a little bit more scent, you can use essential oils here. And this is cedarwood, which would go very well with the thyme and rosemary you've got here. And you only need a couple of drops. And you can actually, that is very nice. That goes very well together. And you could even give that as a gift if you wanted to as well. If you know somebody that really likes herbs or essential oils, you can use that as well. So, obviously, despite the cautionary notes, the use of herbs is absolutely wonderful, but there are a few warnings that I do need to give. So if you're making something like this, the one thing that you do need to be aware of is where you place it. So keep it away from little hands and little paws, or you can buy potpourri pots with lids where you can put fresh herbs in without risking anybody getting their hands on them, but do have that awareness that essential oils and some of these herbs can be quite strong and cause a reaction. But that being said, you can see that this herb has some wonderful properties which are often overlooked but so useful. So I hope that you have found some of my suggestions helpful and you've enjoyed sharing this experience with me. So thank you for watching.